Do you procrastinate? Do you start projects with a lot of enthusiasm, but somehow they get stopped along the way? Do you get distracted by less important tasks so that you find at the end of the day you didn't work on the parts that really matter? And do your strategic plans get lost in the shuffle when you prioritize or go about your workday? Well, if this happens to you and you'd like to stop procrastinating, you're in the right place. Because today we're going to talk about how to overcome procrastination. Procrastination is a thief because it delays the results that you need in order to accomplish your goals and to be a success. And when that happens, when you have to wait longer and longer to get any kind of results and to see any kind of progress, it kills your confidence. Because you get confidence through momentum. And when you procrastinate, you don't get any momentum. And ultimately, as this goes along, if you have to wait longer and longer in order to get any kind of results that will help you achieve your goal, and along the way, you're eroding your confidence as you go, it kills you and robs you of your success. Let's talk a little bit about why you procrastinate. Because it's really not your fault. You were pre-wired to procrastinate. You see, centuries ago when we were cavemen and cavewomen, we had to exert a large amount of energy for survival activities, right? Tracking down the woolly mammoth, killing it, carrying it back to the village, and cooking it took a lot of energy. And then we had to store the energy and conserve the energy in between the times that we found the woolly mammoths, or the deers, or whatever it was that we needed for survival. And you see, the projects that you're working on are not life and death projects the way hunting an animal is for something to eat. It's not the same level of urgency. So you're designed to actually save the energy and conserve it when it's not life and death. And in today's world, even if you're not super rich, you have a level of comfort that's unprecedented in history. Your food, clean water, and shelter is provided even if you don't have to go out and fight for it on a daily basis. Now, I don't want to take away from you if you're working very hard at your job or to get by, but it's not the same as having to go and find the woolly mammoth and kill it and then conserve the energy. So the level of comfort that you have and the lack of urgency for survival on your projects, all combined with your biology for procrastination. So how do you solve this problem of biology and urgency and comfort? There's a few things that you can do. First, you need to really connect with your goal and your purpose and really understand why it's important to you. You need to connect with it, and it needs to be really important. What is it going to provide for you? What is it going to do for you? What are you going to be able to do once you have achieved that goal? You're going to have something, you're going to be something, or you're going to be able to do something that you can't do today. And if you don't achieve the goal, what are you going to have to tolerate and put up with and deal with along the way? And you really want to understand the difference that achieving the goal is going to make in your life. This thing that you're procrastinating, if you don't procrastinate and you actually get it sooner, how much better is your life going to be? And the more detailed and specific you can be about that, the better. Okay, so the make $1 million is a fine goal, but to make $1 million so that I can travel around the world with my wife while my child is in college and it's fully funded is a richer description of what's going to happen, and actually will be more motivating, because $1 million, it's really not the $1 million that you want. It's what the $1 million is going to allow you to have, do, or be once you have it. Okay, and once you do that, I want you to really even dream bigger. What's even bigger than that goal? After you achieve that goal, what are you going to want? After you have $1 million in the bank and you're able to travel, maybe you're going to want to travel around the world. Or maybe you want to buy a mobile home and drive cross country with it. Go to different rallies, whatever you like to do. Maybe after your child graduates from college, you want to be able to set them up in a business, right? You want to be able to bankroll them or buy them a house so that they don't have to deal with the mortgage and student loans and this sort of thing. Okay, and what this does when you do that is it lowers the amount of comfort that you're actually feeling now. When you can really visualize how much better your life is going to be, and when you allow yourself to actually dream bigger, that sets your new comfort level. That's the level at which you're going to be comfortable at. And it's going to feel more like you have to exert the energy in order to get there. Okay, that's going to become, in essence, your new survival point, right? So that's going to give you some motivation to actually get out and do it. Now, in terms of urgency, nothing motivates better than setting a deadline, okay? So the project that you're working on that will lead you to your ultimate goal, you need to pick a deadline. You're going to do this today, tomorrow, this week. What you're going to do is set a deadline, and that is your new point of urgency. So when you do these things and you overcome procrastination by creating urgency and new levels of comfort, it does a couple things for you. First, you can achieve your goals faster because you're not waiting any longer. You get down to it and you just execute. And it reduces stress because the putting things off and having them in the back of your mind, you know you need to do them, but you're not actually doing it, this actually creates stress and it lowers your confidence and it makes it even more difficult to get going. So if you can actually get started when you feel like you really need to do it because it's really going to make a difference in your life, it's much, much less stressful. And your results are better when you do it this way. They're much better because you're doing it from a place of what you really want. You've done the visioning. You know how it's going to change your life. You don't want to tolerate what's in your life right now. You want something better. And when you go at it with this kind of energy, when you're pulled towards your goals from enthusiasm and desire, you get much better results than when you're pushed there by your circumstances. Let's talk a little bit about why you procrastinate. Because it's really not your fault. You were pre-wired to procrastinate. Now let me explain. Now, you see, centuries ago when we were cavemen and cave women, we had to exert a large amount of energy for survival activities, right? Tracking down the woolly mammoth, killing it, carrying it back to the village, and cooking it took a lot of energy. And then we had to store the energy and conserve the energy in between the times that we found the woolly mammoths or the deers or whatever it was that we needed for survival. And you see, the projects that you're working on are not life and death projects the way hunting an animal is for something to eat. It's not the same level of urgency. So you're designed to actually save the energy and conserve it when it's not life and death. And in today's world, even if you're not super rich, you have a level of comfort that's unprecedented in history. Your food, clean water, and shelter is provided even if you don't have to go out and fight for it on a daily basis. Now, I don't want to take away from you if you're working very hard at your job or to get by, but it's not the same as having to go and find the woolly mammoth and kill it and then conserve the energy. So the level of comfort that you have and the lack of urgency for survival on your projects, all combined with your biology for procrastination. So you may be saying that it sounds great, but you don't think that visualizing and dreaming is enough to actually get you over your procrastination and get you into gear and in top peak performance every day. And of course, you could be right. Okay, there are some hurdles and some roadblocks that we have to face along the way. And the first is our subconscious mind. Because even though consciously we might be saying we want a mansion and a yacht, or we want to create a business that generates money, or we want to be able to help the world become a better place to live in for our children and our children's children, subconsciously we have limiting beliefs. And these are things that we learned along the way as our parents discipline us and try and install values, we see the world in certain ways, and some of those can keep us from believing that we're actually good enough and deserving enough and worthy enough to go after these very large goals. And of course, there's the ego. Now, when your mind is faced with this kind of a problem, where you really want something big and beautiful and better for yourself and the world, and you have a limiting belief, your ego will step in and try and negotiate a deal. Something along the lines of, you're too smart, or you're too good, or you're too big, or you're too qualified to go out and take that kind of risk for such a small payoff. You're just too good to do that. So you're actually smarter and better off staying safe and not growing and not pushing through. Okay? And that will hold you back, right? There could be fear, doubt, and anxiety that's keeping you from moving forward. And of course, there's self-judgment. A lot of times it could be a sense of imposter syndrome, where you feel like you're not really qualified. Who am I? Do I really deserve this? So let's talk about some of the strategies that are really effective for overcoming these roadblocks. Okay, first, I want you to visualize completing the task that you're procrastinating. So let's say you have to make 10 phone calls. You have to call 10 people and invite them to a presentation that you're giving. I want you to visualize what it's like to pick up the phone and call the people and what they're going to say. That they're going to recognize the value that you're offering them and what the best possible outcome of that action is, that they say yes. I want you to really visualize it. That way, when you're doing it, it's like you're really believable and you know that it can happen and you're expecting success. You want to go after these things with an expectation of success. And one of the best ways to do that is to make it believable by visualizing it in your head ahead of time. Okay. If there's any fear, doubt, or anxiety that comes up while you're doing this exercise, I want you to name that fear, doubt, or anxiety. So if you think everybody's going to say no and you think it's fear of failure, give it a name, and then you could see that that's actually pretty ridiculous. These are 10 people you're calling. You know they're interested in what you're doing and what you have to say. So the likelihood that all 10 are going to say no is actually pretty low. Is everybody going to say yes? It's a possibility. Yes, it could be that 10 people are going to say yes, and they thank you for the opportunity to be involved. That's actually a real possibility. But maybe some people are traveling, some people have scheduling issues, but you want to go in with the expectation of success. Okay? And naming your fear, doubt, or anxiety is a really good way to help alleviate it or make it go away. Now, the next point is your mood or emotions. Happy, energetic, enthusiastic people don't procrastinate. They go in, they have an expectation of success, and they get it. Okay? Now, you're going to need to make a commitment to caring about how you feel every day and for elevating your mood and your emotions. And I think one of the best ways to do this is through the routines and habits that you develop as you go about your day. And a really good routine to have is a morning routine where you talk about what you're grateful for, what your accomplishments have been since the last time you listed your accomplishments. So list all the things that you've accomplished and what your intentions are. Okay? So gratitude, accomplishments, and intentions, what you really want to go after. So what can you do right now in order to overcome procrastination? What I want you to do is pick the one thing that would be the most valuable for you to complete. What is the thing that has the biggest potential to change your life? Something that you've been putting off. I want you to think about what that is, select that thing, and then I want you to go and do the first step of it right now. Stop watching this video and take the next step. Is it pick up the phone? Is it write an email? Is it make an outline? Whatever it is, do the next step right now. You can't do it right now? Then I want you to schedule it. You're going to pick a time when this is going to get done. I want you to call your best friend and commit to doing it. And then do it. because that's how you're going to get your results. Your results are going to come from when you take your action. I wish you the best of luck. This is Scott Shane Holt, and here's to killing procrastination.